Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Welcome to Bastet, Sheetah, City Watchers, Channel 7, Black News, where the revolution will be televised. Hi, this is Inspector Campbell, and I'm here today to talk to you about a special assignment. I am in need of assistance from the community of humanity. My name is Rachel Campbell, and I am the CEO and Chief Investigator, News Reporter, and Journalist on behalf of Bastet, Sheetah, City Watchers. I have a 13-point solutions of equity for the conditions that the Black community is faced with. And out of the 13-point solutions of equity, I'm currently working on number 7. And number 7's Black solution is to confront wrongful convictions, mass Black incarceration, and involuntary servitude under the 13th Amendment. What I need from you is for you to join JNS Credit Specialist and Bastet, Sheetah, City Watchers as special guest on the Black Sister Talk podcast. The Black Sister Talk podcast is a podcast of a licensed clinical therapist, and she focuses on mental health. And I deal with racism and mental health as it relates to imprisonment and incarceration. So JNS Credit Specialist specialized on credit restoration, credit repair, and the Black Sister Talk, the host of the podcast is, she's just an amazing woman, and she does a lot out here in the community, as we all do. And so I'm just asking that you join the Black Sister Talk podcast on Saturday, February 12th, 2022 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can call in at 516-418-5674. If you yourself are a victim of wrongful conviction, please call in to 516-418-5674. We would love to hear your story. If you are a family member or a loved one of an individual who is currently being detained by a prison by way of wrongful conviction, please call 516-418-5674 on February 12th, 2022 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Once again, this is Rachel Campbell, Chief Investigator, Journalist, and News Reporter on behalf of Bastet, Sheetah, City Watchers, Channel 7 Black News, where the revolution will be televised. And I'm here to raise awareness and expose corrupt government investigations, or corrupt government, my apologies. I investigate corrupt acts by government public officials who serve as public servants to the people. So I ask that you do follow us and that you tune in to the Black Sister Talk podcast on February 12th, 2022 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please call in at 516-418-5674. We would love to hear your story. We would love to add your name to our shockumentary. We have a shockumentary of wrongful convictions, and we'd be surprised how many people have actually been wrongfully convicted as it relates to black men, black women, and our black children. I look forward to hearing from someone that needs to get their message out on February 12th, 2022, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Call in to the Black Sister Talk podcast at 516-418-5674. Peace, love, and universal power. Peaceful greetings, peaceful greetings. This is Rachel Campbell, CEO, Chief Journalist, Chief Investigator, and Chief News Reporter of Bastet, Sheetah, City Watchers, Channel 7 Black News, where the revolution will be televised. I come to you today with the public call for action. There are so many distractions going on nowadays. There are so many people in the black community who seem to not take the conditions that the black community are in very seriously. I've been watching a lot of people out here and, claim to be leaders and claim to be leaders of the conscious movement. And I find that they've been doing a lot of biblical debating backwards and forwards to determine what the Bible is, what the Bible means, what the Bible says, what the Bible say against this to that, to that to this. One thing I haven't heard any of the leaders talking about is Exodus 23:7, where the Bible says, "You shall not make false accusations or false charges against innocent people, and you shall not execute innocent people." So I come to you today in need of assistance from the community of humanity. I don't care what color you are. You be black, brown, purple, green, orange. As long as you're righteous and ready to stand up for just cause. So I'm here because I'm fighting to eradicate racism and illegal convictions in the state of Georgia. This is a call for action demanding Georgia's governor, Brian Kemp, to perform his public service duties under his oath of office or step down. Georgia's Constitution paragraph 6, and I do believe it's Article 5, leaves a very thorough layout of what public officials are supposed to be doing under their oath of office. And so this particular statute says that the governor and the lieutenant governor shall, before entering on the duties of office, take such oath or affirmation as prescribed by law. Article 5, Section 2, Georgia Constitution, says that the duties and the powers of the governor or that they are law enforcement. The governor shall take care that the laws are faithfully executed and shall be the conservator of the peace throughout the state. What I'm here for today is to let you know that Governor Brian Kemp has been made aware of an illegal and a wrongful conviction of homicide and aggravated homicide charges brought against David R. Johnson, inmate number 1233494 at Dodge State Prison. And I'm asking everyone to help me get Governor Brian Kemp to do what he's supposed to do, and to come forward and to make sure that the Attorney General, Christopher Carr, and Chatham County's District Attorney, Shalina Cooks Jones, perform their ministerial and paramount duties under their oath of office to support the Constitution. So I want to talk to you today a little bit about David R. Johnson. I am fighting to free David R. Johnson, and I am fighting for political justice. David R. Johnson was indicted. David R. Johnson was indicted in 2005. Well, my apologies. He was arrested in 2005, and he didn't get indicted until a year later. The problem with the indictment, there's a few things that's wrong with the indictment, but the first thing that I'd like to say is that the state of Georgia actually charged two people for the commission of the same crime on the same day, and apparently the same victim. Rest in peace to the young man whose life was brutally taken. However, the young man's life was not taken by David R. Johnson. David R. Johnson pled not guilty. David R. Johnson did not have a fair trial, and in fact he had a trial in front of the grand jury, and that's actually a violation. Grand juries are not supposed to be held. They are held as what you call a star chamber secrecy proceeding, and that's a violation of the Constitution and a violation of almost every law universally throughout the United States. So there's so many different things that are wrong with the indictment, but the first thing that I'd like to say is this is the reason why I am calling for Governor Brian Kemp to do what it is that he is required to do under his oath of office and his oath of loyalty and allegiance to the United States. He has a legal and paramount duty under Georgia's Constitution, as well as under his oath of office, to support the Constitution of the United States, to support the laws of the United States, as well as supporting Georgia's Constitution. David R. Johnson was illegally and wrongfully convicted by several measures, but the first measure would be violation of the Fourth Amendment rights against unlawful searches and seizures and arrest. Then he was deprived of a speedy jury trial. He was arrested October 3rd, 2005, and according to Georgia's law, when a bail has been refused, an individual has the legal right to a grand jury, and that grand jury is supposed to be held within 90 days. So he was deprived of a lot of things, and then actually under the Federal Speedy Trial Act of 1974, it grants that when charges have been brought forth against an individual, or, my apologies, when an individual has pled not guilty, that a jury trial is supposed to convene within 70 days from the date of arrest. So he was arrested October 3rd, 2005, and according to the indictment, the grand jury, or the guilty verdict, was not it wasn't returned in open court, period, but the guilty verdict was not found by the grand jury until November 3rd, 2006. So we're looking at a whole year later that this young man had to sit inside of city jail awaiting to be transported over to the proper jurisdiction, and that was able to hear his case and so forth. So that's a Sixth Amendment right violation, the speedy trial. So the Sixth Amendment guarantees that every individual, the Sixth Amendment guarantees the speedy trial. The Fifth Amendment guarantees the speedy trial. The Sixth Amendment also guarantees effective counsel. Brother David Johnson did not have effective counsel. He did not, in fact, have counsel even at the time of his arrest, and even when he was chosen out of a lineup. And so I have Supreme Court cases that said that this is a no-no. This is a no-no. This is a no-no. So what I'm fighting for is because the indictment and the guilty verdict was not returned in open court as required by law. And so I'm fighting to have Governor Kemp to ensure that his puppets, Attorney General Christopher Carr and Chatham County District Attorney Shalina Cook Jones, get this conviction reversed. The Georgia Supreme Court has held that any failure to return the indictment in open court is per se injurious to the defendant. And you can find that under Zuger versus State, I think it's 194, the State versus Brown, and you can find it under so many other Supreme Court cases that has even just taken place there throughout the state of Georgia. So with that being said, we're on a mission, Black people are being targeted, as we all know, and we never could find out why there is such a high form of mass incarceration of Black people. However, I have been able to tackle this issue, and I understand that the 13th Amendment is the problem. The 13th Amendment says slavery and involuntary servitude has been abolished except for punishment and, by way of duly conviction. So here's what's going on. Most states universally are convicting Black men, women, and children, and our children, in violation of the 13th Amendment. Most of these people are having convictions, and the convictions are not duly convictions, nor are they legal convictions. That's a huge problem, and this has to be exposed. Something has got to be done about it. David R. Johnson was given a life sentence for a crime in which he did not commit. David R. Johnson has been imprisoned by the state of Georgia by way of slavery, involuntary servitude, and kidnapping for 16 and a half years. The state of Georgia did not have probable cause for the arrest. The state of Georgia does not have sufficient evidence to substantiate or to support the crime. There were no fingerprints that were ever taken of Mr. Johnson. However, there were fingerprints of his co-defendant that were taken. Whether it's proved or not that it was his fingerprints that was on the gun, I have no idea. But I can tell you this, that there are two appeals. One appeal that the co-defendant actually filed in 2008, and another appeal that Mr. David R. Johnson himself filed, or his counsel filed on his behalf, to appeal this the verdict as well as the conviction. And within both of these appeals, it is clearly noted that there are witnesses that had testified that the co-defendant was the individual, along with David R. Johnson, who came to the victim's house, and that it was the co-defendant who was acting very belligerent. It was the co-defendant who had something behind his back. Witnesses have also testified that the co-defendant said that the victim, may he rest in peace, owed him $10, and that he was coming to take him out for that $10 debt on principle. Witnesses also have testified that someone took the gun from the co-defendant after the co-defendant shot the victim the first time, and decided that he wanted to shoot him a second time to ensure that he was dead. The gun was taken from the victim at that time, and the gun was actually found in another individual's possession by Savannah police. In addition to that, Savannah police has also testified that the spent casings from the gun were found in the co-defendant's house where he lives, in his room. So with that being said, David R. Johnson has been kidnapped by the state of Georgia and its former prosecuting attorney, Spencer Lawton Jr. Spencer Lawton Jr. is a racist devil who has wrongfully convicted many black men, but 3 I most definitely know for certain. Troy Davis was an innocent black man that was accused of killing a white police officer in 1989. Troy Davis sat in prison from 1989 to 2011. Troy Davis has claimed his innocence from day one. No one listened to him. His lawyers tried fighting for him. He was given the death penalty. Prior to Troy Davis's, may he rest in peace, he was brutally executed and murdered by the state of Georgia. But Troy Davis was trying to prove his innocence. His attorneys had found that there was another individual that is believed to be the culprit for the homicide case. And the state of Georgia would not allow this man to produce the evidence to prove his innocence. Under the state of Georgia's law, they have a law that's called the presumption of innocence, which everybody has the right until proven guilty. And it is the responsibility and the duty of any prosecuting attorney to prove to a grand jury and to the judge, to the trial judge, beyond a reasonable doubt, that an individual has or did commit the crimes in which they allege in the indictment and or in the information. Not only are they supposed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, they're supposed to have sufficient evidence to support the alleged charges and the alleged crime. And that evidence is supposed to be presented to reasonable people, i.e. the jury, and they're to make the determination on whether or not there is probable cause and sufficient evidence to support the alleged charges. We have a miscarriage of justice. We have a serious miscarriage of justice done by the state of Georgia. This is not the first time that the state of Georgia have done something like this. The state of Georgia is known as being racist. The state of Georgia have participated in the Atlantic slave trade. The state of Georgia has actively used what is called municipal slavery to even build the city of Savannah. So Georgia, as we all know, is the head of where the KKK come from. Sure is. It's the head of where the KKK come from. And I'm just here to let you guys know that them motherfuckers ain't went nowhere. They're not gone. They sit in high places. They sit as your governor. They sit as your mayor. They sit as the General Assembly. They sit as prosecuting attorneys, district attorneys, the Attorney General, yeah, they're still there. Supreme Court, they haven't gone anywhere. What they've done was they've reformed everything. They kept the 13th Amendment wide open so that they can finish out the Atlantic slave trade. And they've been doing that for well over 400 years here in the United States. So, black people and all other shades of humanity, government officials are public servants. They work for you, me, and everyone else. They were established and structured to serve the needs of the people and the will of the people. We live in a country where freedom is supposed to be free, where liberty is not supposed to be denied or deprived, where justice is supposed to be enforced and distributed, where laws are supposed to be obeyed and adhered to. Why are these demands prerequisites for the constituents and not the public officials? Why is government able to claim qualified immunity for violating the natural, legal, and civil rights of citizens of the United States? Now, most people might say, well, black people aren't citizens of the United States. Well, I like to say I beg to differ, and I'm willing to debate anyone on that matter. The 14th Amendment was put in place for black people specifically, making us citizens of the United States so that we could have the federal protection of Congress as it relates to the states. Congress has the power, and they are endowed with the power to make something happen. Congress, your Congressional Black Caucus, they haven't shaken any tables. Now y'all should really be able to understand why all skin folks ain't kinfolk, okay? They have the power under the 37th Congress. They have the power, I believe, under the 39th Congress and the 41st Congress to do something about the injustices and the mass incarceration, police brutality that has taken place against the black people. So black people, it is time to stop marching. That hasn't done anything for us. It's time to stop crying. That hasn't done anything for us. It's time to get it back in blood. That's the only thing that's going to do something for us. And when I say it's time to get it back in blood, I don't mean by taking the life of someone where you're taking the blood out of them. I mean get it back in blood by allowing these corrupt government officials to have their day in court and to sit on the other side of the fence, the same as the black prisoners have been doing for all of these years. It is time for us to let go of fear. It is time for us to renew our minds, to understand and overstand and understand who our direct enemies are. The Bible tells you that, I think it's Ephesians 6:12, that for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities of people in high places. The devil lives in Georgia. The devil lives in the house of the General Assembly, who would not allow an innocent man to prove his innocence, to prevent him being wrongfully executed by lethal injection for a crime in which he did not commit. This is sad. This is sad, y'all. The devil lives in Georgia. The devil's name is Spencer Lawton Jr. And Spencer Lawton Jr. is a former public prosecuting attorney for Georgia, and he's the former prosecuting attorney who have wrongfully convicted David R. Johnson, inmate number 1233494 at Dodge State Prison. He's the prosecuting attorney that wrongfully convicted Troy Davis, which resulted in the brutal and barbarous and grotesque and inhumane execution that was pursued against Troy Davis, even though he claimed his innocence and his lawyers were ready to bring forth more evidence to show that he is innocent, because they denied him at the beginning of his trial to do things. So I'm just here to let you all know that this stuff is really, really real. The devil, Satan, is really walking this earth rampant. He's really, really, really walking this earth. Let me not say he, because Satan doesn't actually have a gender and or color, because it comes in all shades of humanity, shades of life. It comes through the male and the female gender, But I just want to let you know that the devil does live in Georgia. And I'm fighting and to find out whether Governor Brian Kemp is also the devil. Because we are asking him and we're demanding him to perform his public service duties under his oath of office or to immediately step down. The indictment of David R. Johnson that was filed by the state of Georgia, and that is indictment number C as in cat, R as in Rachel, 05 CR 052570, B as in black, R as in Rachel. That indictment must be reversed. It's a void judgment. It has no validity. It is null. It has no legal effect. And David R. Johnson is not legally obligated to spend the rest of his life in prison for said indictment. That being said, I ask that you sign a petition that we have for the removal of Brian Kemp, Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia, should he choose not to do what he's supposed to do. So I ask that you guys go to change.org, look up, wow, I don't even know how to tell you. I'm very new to this social media stuff. So why don't I just give you the, I think they call this the link or the URL. You guys can sign the petition for the removal of Governor Brian Kemp should he choose not to comply with his oath of office and Georgia's Constitution, as well as the laws of the United States and the United States Constitution. If you guys can just please sign this petition, you can go to http as in Paul S colon / DVMJWYHQKY. I don't even remember what the name of the petition is. I should have wrote that down. But nonetheless, if you see anything, I think inside the petition it says that we're asking that this is a call of action for the removal of Governor Brian Kemp. So I'm just asking that you guys support Bastet Sheetah City Watchers, as well as David R. Johnson, an innocent black man who has spent 16 and a half years in prison for a crime in which he didn't commit. And I will be breaking this crime down over here at Bastet Sheetah City Watchers. That's what we do as a part of our Black Solutions. We investigate what's going on. We look to see if there has been an injustice, and then we make a move on it. So as a part of that, we have made a move, and we filed, because Mr. David R. Johnson has exhausted all of his administrative remedies, and they've denied his habeas corpus, they've denied his motion to quash the indictment, they've denied his motion in Limine to suppress evidence that was used to give birth to the guilty verdict and the conviction. And he's deserving. Everyone is deserving of justice. Everyone is deserving of being treated right. Everyone is deserving of having their human rights respected. So I just ask that you join the Black Sister Talk podcast on February 12th, 2022 from 3 to 5 p.m. by calling in to 516-418-5674 so that you can hear more information about Georgia and Georgia's role in the Atlantic slave trade, Georgia's role in municipal slavery, and Georgia's role for the wrongful convictions and mass incarcerations of black men, women, and our children. I thank you very, very kindly for stopping by and staying over to listen. I thank you for stopping by Bastet, Sheetah City Watchers, Channel 7 Black News, where the revolution will be televised. And I pray that the communities will join me on fighting to expose corrupt government, and that you will follow me as I fight to free David R. Johnson alongside David R. Johnson, because David R. Johnson and Rachel Campbell has filed a civil tort claim against the state of Georgia, against the trial judge, against the arresting detective. You can't sue the grand jury, as well as against the public pretender that he had that just failed to protect his rights to freedom and his rights against illegal and unlawful imprisonment and detainment. So once again, guys, thank you for dropping by. This is Rachel Campbell, CEO, Chief Investigator, Chief Journalist, and Chief News Reporter of Bastet, Sheetah City Watchers, Channel 7 Black News, where the revolution will be televised. Peace, love, and universal power.